morning guys, thank you for tuning in to another video. I can't believe that there are only 5 episodes left of 30 Days of Art. A lot of you guys have asked me what I'm planning to do after I finish this series. Am I still going to upload videos? And I just wanted to address that real quick before I start this video. I'm definitely going to continue uploading videos. I might try to brainstorm ideas for another series, but definitely time lapses and voiceovers and things like that and tutorials, they're all going to be continuing. And yeah, I'm not gonna stop. I've absolutely fallen in love with sharing my art with you guys and interacting with you guys on YouTube. You guys are so awesome, so I'm definitely not going anywhere. And another thing I wanted to quickly address before this video started is I've seen a few comments. This is a very small minority, but I thought I wanted to address it in case anyone else is thinking this. Some people have said that wow, you're vlogging so much. Are you ever gonna upload another painting video? Or it seems like all you upload are vlogs lately. Are you uploading a time lapse ever again? And I just want to say I'm definitely not just uploading vlogs. In fact, my vlogs are only extra. Like, I still upload 1 to 2 art related videos, whether that be a tutorial or a time lapse. I still upload 1 to 2 art videos every week. And if you actually count, like if you take the time to count the videos on my channel and the dates I uploaded them, I'm actually uploading more art videos recently in addition to uploading more vlogs. When I first began this channel, and for the vast majority of my channel, I only uploaded like 1 art video every 1 to 2 weeks. Sometimes like I would actually take 2 weeks in between videos. And now I'm consistently uploading 1 art video a week plus 2 or 3 vlogs, because I just thought I wanted to share my life with you, and so many of you have responded so well and say you thoroughly enjoy like seeing what artist life is like. And so I have no problem with putting out more content on my channel, but by no means am I detracting away from my art videos, and I'm not just gonna be like a vlogger and lose, you know, all of my art content. So that is definitely not the case. And if anyone else has that question, like, I hope I answered it. Like, I'm not abandoning this channel. I'm not gonna stop making videos after 30 Days of Art, and I am definitely not just uploading vlogs and no longer paying attention to art video. So yeah, just want to quickly clear that up. And so let's begin today's time lapse. For a real-time version of this video, along with other fun daily rewards, please check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/happydartist. Okay, on to today's topic of discussion. This is probably one of my top 3 most asked questions, and that is, do you have any tips to get better at drawing? So a quick disclaimer, I'm gonna try to tackle this as best as I can, but following these tips or even watching this video or even writing these tips down is not going to help you get better at drawing. The number one thing you can do to get better at drawing is, you guessed it, practicing. I know so many of you are so sick of hearing this, but there's a reason why all artists and art teachers give this out as their number one tip. If you want to get better at something, you have to put in the time, you have to put in the work. The most I can do is kind of give you these little things to keep in mind while you're practicing, but nothing can replace the value of simply putting in the hours and making mistakes and trial and error and experimentation and doing things over and over again until you slowly get better with time. So I just want to say this video is going to be me explaining a few little tips and tricks that I keep in mind, especially for beginning drawers and beginning illustrators, but there really is nothing that can beat just hard work and practice. So that being said, let me get started. I have for you today 5 quick tips to get better at drawing. The first tip to keep in mind is to use light pressure. And this is something that I see happening a lot, even with myself. I noticed when I was just beginning to draw, kids and younger, more beginner artists tend to, for some reason, want to establish very dark lines. I think perhaps it's because when people are used to seeing the finished product of a drawing, or maybe when you see a cartoon or anything like that, you see bold lines and you think that's how you're supposed to draw from the very beginning stages. And that's not the case. The life cycle of drawing always begins with light strokes. And it's easier to erase. So if you draw something lightly, you don't have to erase. It doesn't make like a hard, deep mark on your paper. You can erase it very easily. And B, when you use light strokes, it helps you kind of experiment and trial and error, like experiment how the stroke looks. Does it look right? Does the composition look right? Do the proportions look right? Without committing to it so hard. So a light stroke can help you really learn in the beginning and make mistakes and give yourself room to make mistakes without ruining your paper, without requiring you to erase super hard, and also without wasting your pencil or breaking it. And the second tip I have is to use smaller, shorter lines. A great example is, let's say you're drawing a leg. A leg is like a long body part that has a very specific type of angle, a specific curvature, a specific length if you want to get the proportions correct. If you try to draw one continuous clean line, it's very easy to make a mistake. Not all of us have very steady hands, and you could potentially make a weird bump. You could get the angle wrong. You could draw it too long or too short. And if you keep trying to draw it in one continuous line, it's going to be really hard to make that shape look accurate. Instead, what you should do is use a small combination of small strokes. So do a little bit at a time and gradually build that shape of the leg. And that way, if you make a mistake, you only have to erase a part of your leg and not have to redraw the whole thing from scratch. So rather than trying to get it perfect from beginning to end without making any mistakes, use small strokes, use many strokes, and try to gradually build up that shape. And that'll help you kind of fix and correct yourself along the way. And if you need to erase and start over, you don't have to erase and start over from scratch. The third tip I have is probably my favorite one, and that is to draw the outline of your basic composition first. Block out the main shapes and proportions first with very light strokes before you dive into the detail. Imagine if you drew a face and you spent all this time shading and, like drawing all the eyelashes and shading the nose and getting everything looking perfect, and then you step back and realize the proportions on your face are super off. And now you have to erase all that hard work and start over and redo all of that. And your little details might have left marks on your paper that make it hard for you to go over when you draw the correct proportions. So instead, what you should do is use light strokes to map out your composition and your proportions first before you dive into details. That way, if you need to erase something, you're erasing only your light outline sketch, which is not that bad, and you're not wasting time by drawing little details before you figured out the composition and then having to erase all that hard work and redraw all the little details again. And the fourth tip I have is to go easy on erasing. So this definitely follows all the first three tips I talked about. If you follow the first three tips of using light strokes, using smaller, shorter lines to gradually build up the overall shape, and also working out your outline first and blocking out your main shapes and proportions, then you don't have to abuse your eraser as much. So for example, if you're trying to position let's say your facial proportions correctly, instead of erasing every time you get one line wrong, experiment with 3 to 5 different lines with a light stroke. And then when you find a positioning of your eyes and nose and mouth that look correct, then go in with slightly more pressure and a darker line to establish and reinforce that correct positioning. And then once you're done establishing the correct positioning, you can go in and erase the light marks afterwards. That'll save you a lot of erasers and also save you a lot of time. And my fifth and final tip is for shading, and that is if you want your drawing to have a lot of depth, to look 3D, to look interesting, to look round and like you can pluck it out of the page, one thing to keep in mind is values. Values is light to shadow. So if you want your drawing to have accurate and interesting values, I would recommend you draw a gradient of the lightest light and the darkest dark on a separate sheet of paper. So just make a gradient from like basically white to black using the pencil, and use that as a reference point for your drawing. So when you're shading your drawing, make sure to always look back at that gradient and ask yourself, am I including the darkest dark? Am I including the lightest light? Am I transitioning it properly from light to dark? And that will help you have more accurate values in your drawing. Alrighty, I hope you guys enjoyed these tips and found them useful. If you're interested in limited edition prints of this drawing and many other drawings in the same series, I will have them available at happyd-artist.com. Alrighty, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you have any more suggestions for topics that you want me to cover, I'd love to hear them, so feel free to give me a shout in the comments below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!